Hey rockers, welcome back to the channel. How the heck have you been? Great that you're here. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe, like, and comment, and all that good stuff. We're going back in the day, man, to the 80s, back to when I first made friends with JELLO BIAFRA from the Dead Kennedys. Of course, growing up and listening to punk rock records and punk rock music in general, huge Dead Kennedys fan, man. I was always really inspired by JELLO's lyrics, the driving force behind Claus Fluoride and D.H. Peligro and East Bay Ray. Those guys were killer, man. I love the Dead Kennedys. They opened up my mind back in my teenage punk years to where I didn't think a certain way about religion and politics until the Dead Kennedys came into my life. And then I started realizing a lot of the stuff I'd been sold, in schools and by parents and teachers and authority in general was BS. And I think many of you will say, I relate. That's the same thing with me. Well, that was the appeal of the Dead Kennedys, right? They were the punk band that thought. And JELLO's lyrics were always super great. Like, as a lyricist myself, which I kind of pride myself on my own lyrics. It's one of the few talents that I have, I think. But JELLO BIAFRA is one of a kind. His lyrics are just completely out of this world. I mean, if you go back and listen to those Dead Kennedys records, the stuff is just timeless, it's priceless, and it's genius. Yeah, I just made that up. Anyway, JELLO BIAFRA. So I started writing to JELLO when I was in the punk scene, probably about 83. And I would just zip out a letter to Alternative Tentacles, and he would write me back. And we started a little pen pal thing. But he found out somehow that I was in a band with Steve Steppe from Rights of the Accused. Probably from Maximum Rock and Roll, I'm guessing. And because there was a little feature on us back in the day. And so he asked me if I could get a copy of the Rights of the Accused 7-inch. I did. And I said, let's trade. He said, yeah. He proposed the trade because he ran the record label and had records. So I said, yeah, hey, I'd like to have a copy of DOA War on 45, the 12-inch EP. And he wrote me back and he said, well, that's kind of a lopsided deal, but okay. So he sent me the DOA War on 45 7-inch EP. I sent him the Rights of the Accused 7-inch record that he wanted for his collection. And we kept writing each other. And then, flash forward to the year 1985. November the 5th, 1985. Yes, I have a cheat sheet. Every good YouTuber should have one. The Palacio Theater, the Palace Theater in Chicago, Dead Kennedys' last tour with JELLO. And I was kindly invited to come to the show, and that JELLO was going to hook me up with a VIP to Backstage and all that good stuff, which was really cool of him, and I still am grateful for that. JELLO, if you're watching, that was cool of you, man. So I got to hang out with JELLO backstage at that concert. There's a story on this channel about that, by the way. Yeah, if you subscribe to the channel, that'd be cool. But you could go to the video section and check it out and find that story from 1985, all about the backstage experience with JELLO. It was a lot of fun. I'm not going to rehash that. You can find that story. I go into detail. So JELLO was cool enough to get me backstage. Very cool. Got to hang out with him while he did, vocal exercises in the balcony as we watched the Crucifix. Oh, man, what an amazing experience. We continued corresponding a little bit here and there, in the mail. And then I moved to Greeley, Colorado. And, JELLO is from Boulder, Colorado, and that's where his parents and sister and he resided. At least I know he didn't reside there. I think he lived in San Francisco, correct? Yes, I think. Talking out my ass here, but his parents did. And he was born in Boulder. That's a definite fact. So, what was I saying? Where was I going with this, man? What the hell was I even doing? 1987, I moved to Greeley, Colorado in the summer after opening up for Naked Raygun with my band Hate. The next day, I drove to Greeley, Colorado because a girlfriend of mine that I was with for like 5 years was going to college there. And I was like, well, I'm still in love with you and I'm coming there too. So I went to Greeley, got a job, got an apartment, started hanging out in Boulder a lot, started hanging out in Denver. Greeley was situated to a point where I could drive one way and go to Boulder, another way to Denver. I think it was like an hour and a half drive each time from Greeley to those places. I can't remember. Brain cells are kind of evaporating, man, as I talk. Jeez, hurry. The meds are kicking in. So I'm in Greeley, Colorado, and I write to Jello and I said, hey man, guess where I'm living now? Greeley. And he's like, oh, from Peoria to Greeley. In other words, he was kind of making fun of Peoria and Greeley. People talk about Greeley, Colorado, and they say it smells like cow crap there and that it's just not a really cool city. I had a lot of fun living in Greeley because, I was partying a lot and, well, spending a lot of time in Boulder and Denver. But it was great. And at this part of my life, I was young and wild and free, like the Triumph song. I was young, wild, and free. Okay, getting freaking too cheesy now, man. Back it up, bloody, or turn the video off, loser. No. All right, no more self-depreciating humor. Is that what you say? Is it self-depreciating? Never mind. But a day came and Jello said, hey, oh no, he didn't. I looked in the paper one day. I was looking in the newspaper, checking out events coming up in Boulder, right? And I noticed that Jello was going to be doing a spoken word situation at a church in Boulder. And I thought, how cool. Now, Jello had been out of the Dead Kennedys and, of course, finally released his very first solo spoken word album called No More Cocoons in 1987. What a great album, man. I ended up seeing Jello many times, but this was the first time I was embarking on a journey in which I would see Jello do spoken word at a church. So when I got to the church, I couldn't wait to see Jello because, I'd hung out with him in person. We'd been sort of on and off pen pals, since '83. So I'd known him for about 4 years at this point. And I don't have the exact date. Now, I could be wrong. It could have been 87 or 88 even. But I'm pretty sure it was sometime between the middle of summer 87 and December of 87. Or it could have spilled over into early 88 perhaps, so don't quote me on the date or timeline on this story. But I drove to Boulder. I was excited to go talk to Jello, so I was smoking a bunch of doobies on the way and getting ready and listening to Dead Kennedys cassette tapes in my car. At the time, I had a car cassette player. And I was jamming on the Dead Kennedys all the way to Boulder. And when I got there was quite a few people there. The place was, I won't say, it was a very small place. Like, it was very small. He had just started kind of doing this spoken word thing. He wasn't real known for it yet. He wasn't like doing the bigger places with a lot of people. It was very intimate. And when I got to the church, I parked, walked up, and when I got to the outside door, I saw Jello almost immediately. And I walked up and said, what's up, Jello? And he's like, bloody mess. And he started laughing, He thought it was cool, and he thanked me for driving there from Greeley. And he actually said, I want you to meet somebody. And he asked me about, Greeley and life in Greeley, what I've been up to, and, what brought me to Greeley. Told him the girlfriend story. And by the way, the girlfriend didn't stay with me very long, maybe less than a year, 6 to 9 months. And then one day she said, I just don't love you anymore. True story. And then I ended up packing up within about a week. And I said, I can't live here. My heart's broken. I've got to go. I can't, bump into you and be able to deal with this. So I ended up leaving Greeley. But in the meantime, I'm still in Boulder in this story. So Jello's happy to see me, and he was kind of surprised, and he thought he was chuckling. And we talked for a bit, and then he says to me, Bloody, there's somebody I'd like you to meet. And he goes, come here, man. And I followed him through the church, and I'm like, this'll be interesting. He walked up and introduced me to his parents, man, which was super cool because they lived in Boulder. He was right there in Boulder doing the spoken word, and pretty freaking cool. And I'm pretty sure that I got to meet his late sister, Julie, as well. Julie, I'm 99% positive that I met Julie and his parents. And it was a pretty cool deal, man. I said hello to them, for a couple of minutes, just kind of some small talk. But it was kind of neat because he was like happy to introduce me to a guy named Bloody Mess. And I think he thought that was kind of cool too. I don't know if he was shocking his parents or just some humor, probably, because I learned that his father's a poet. So I'm sure he had a sense of humor. But it seemed like he was close with his parents. And I think he genuinely wanted them to meet somebody that he was kind of friends with or whatever, man, which is pretty damn cool. I found out that he also did a spoken word date at the Boulder Theater in 1987, I believe. So I hope I'm not getting this completely wrong, but I'm 95% sure it was in a church, a little church, because I don't remember going in any kind of theater. 99% sure it's a church. Okay, let's up the ante. Yeah, memory is a funny thing, man. And I always try to admit when I think I might be off on something so nobody calls me out later like, JELLO. I haven't talked to him in years, to be honest. Yeah, so I ended up meeting the folks, meeting his sister, 99% sure I've met Julie. They were cool. It was a really weird atmosphere because it was like really cozy and warm, church-like, temple-like, you know. And people were like packed in that place. There wasn't anywhere really to sit. But I ended up getting a place to sit, and people were standing up. But JELLO got up there and did a performance, which was great. It was probably his first tour doing spoken word. This could have been, I'm speculating here, this could have been a situation where JELLO was doing this before he even did the first spoken word tour. I could be off on my entire history, and this could be the deal. What if he was warming up for the spoken word tour by doing the small engagement at the church? I don't know. It was advertised, though, so who knows if it was part of the tour or if he was just doing a one-off in Boulder. That I don't know. But if you were there back in 87, 88 at that church in Boulder, leave a comment below, man, and tell me the name of it and what you remember. That'd be cool. Thanks for sticking around for 10 minutes and 54 seconds as of now. Of course, by the time I'm done yapping, it'll probably be another 5 minutes. I'm kidding, man. I wish I had more stories for you, man, but I'm trying to come up with more, and I'm hoping to be back tomorrow. I got good news, though. My oldest daughter is coming to visit me on the last Sunday of the month, and she'll be here for about 5-6 days, so I'm going to be doing a lot of nature stuff. Probably won't be dropping any videos for that 6-day period, guys. So I'm just letting you know, if you're a fan of the channel, don't leave me, man. I'm going to take a break, though, from the 28th through like the 3rd or something like that, so I can spend time with my daughter, Jessica, and her fiance, King. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I haven't seen her in years, and it's actually the second time I've ever spent time with her because I met her through Ancestry.com with DNA. Yeah, that's a story that I'm going to be busting out soon, maybe even this week. But she has given me permission to tell you how I met my daughter through Ancestry.com. It's a wild story. You get to meet somebody else through there as well, which I'll keep for the story. I'm going to keep some surprises. But I'll be back soon with more punk, rock, metal, outlaw country, curveball, and just plain old weirdo stories right here at Bloody F Mess Official, where it's now 12:14 p.m. or 12 minutes and 14 seconds. Adios, man. Smoke another bowl, bloody.